Hey, Raiders fans. Today we need to talk about some of the wildest trade ideas floating around out there because, honestly, some of them are just mind-boggling. I love breaking down potential moves for our team, and I am definitely the guy who can spend hours imagining the perfect trade scenario, but the internet can be a strange place, and some of these ideas make me shake my head so hard it might actually hurt. From proposals that completely disregard our most talented players to suggestions that feel like they came out of left field, I've gathered the ones that are truly the most outrageous and the ones that, quite frankly, make me want to walk out of the room. We're going to go through them in order, starting from number 5 and working our way down to the worst idea of them all. And you're going to see just how strange some of these proposals can be when it comes to the Raiders. Let's start with the one that lands in at number 5. This particular idea came from one of the major sports sites, and the suggestion was that the Raiders should receive cornerback Riq Wool in exchange for sending our interior offensive lineman Jackson Powers-Johnson to the Seahawks. Now, don't get me wrong, I have said many times that I want to add talent to our secondary, and I've always been interested in seeing ways to strengthen the defense. But trading away a player as critical as JPJ? That's a big no for me. Powers-Johnson is the type of player who anchors our line, and if we lose that kind of talent, the ripple effect would be catastrophic. Meanwhile, Seattle could benefit enormously, potentially getting a player who could help them push closer to a Super Bowl appearance. That's exactly the kind of player you don't want to send out of Las Vegas. Investing in the offensive line should always take priority over shuffling cornerbacks around, no matter how enticing a name like Riq Wool may sound. This trade idea is a perfect example of how the value of a player's role and position can be completely misjudged by outsiders who don't truly understand what makes our team tick. Moving on to the 4th worst trade idea, we see a suggestion coming from Bleacher Report that really caught my attention. Their proposal involved sending Jakobi Meyers to the New England Patriots in exchange for a 5th-round pick. On the surface, some might think, hey, a draft pick is a draft pick. But let's unpack this for a second. Jakobi has been a solid contributor and someone who could earn us a much higher compensation if we play our cards right. In fact, holding on to him could generate a 4th-round compensatory pick in the year 2027. That's significantly more valuable than a 5th-rounder in 2026. Beyond just the numbers, Meyers provides tangible support to our young quarterback and overall offensive structure, and sending him away for such a minimal return would be a major setback. Bleacher Report clearly didn't fully grasp the internal strategy and goals of the Raiders, and this is exactly why external trade ideas can often feel disconnected from reality. It's not just about the immediate return. It's about long-term value, team chemistry, and the pieces we need to build around our emerging stars. The math and the strategy simply don't add up in this case, and anyone suggesting it is overlooking the nuances that make the Raiders what they are. Then we arrive at the 3rd trade that makes the list, and again, it's another one from Bleacher Report. This idea was so out of left field that it made me almost laugh out loud. The proposal involved acquiring Anthony Richardson along with a 6th-round pick from the Colts while sending Eric Stokes the other way. I have to be honest, this is where I start feeling physically uncomfortable thinking about it. You're asking us to trade away our best corner this season in exchange for a quarterback prospect who, despite his athletic ability, is not ready to lead this team. That would throw our roster into chaos, bringing in a quarterback competition that we do not need, especially with the current talent and potential we already have. Our roster would become a patchwork of untested quarterbacks with inconsistent performance, and Richardson, while promising in certain areas, simply does not have the polish or experience to step into a starting role for the Raiders. This is exactly the kind of suggestion that looks good on paper for someone trying to create drama. But in reality, it would destabilize the team and could hinder the growth of players who are actually delivering results. Our focus should be on nurturing talent that's already proving itself on the field, rather than gambling on projects that could derail our momentum. Next up, the 2nd worst trade is one that I saw from ESPN, and it involves quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. Now, let's just say that if you're thinking this could be a good move, you need to pause for a moment. The proposal suggested the Raiders acquire Tua along with a 2nd-round pick in 2026 and another 2nd-round pick in 2027, giving up only a fifth-round pick to Miami. At first glance, it might sound like a steal, but here's the catch. Taking on Tua's contract, which is massive and fully guaranteed for those years, would essentially tie up our salary cap in a way that limits our ability to invest in other critical areas. This isn't just a financial concern, it's a strategic one. Tua is not the kind of quarterback who excites me as the long-term leader of this franchise, and bringing him in at the cost of future flexibility and draft capital seems like a misstep. Rebuilding the team should be about smart, sustainable moves that set us up for long-term success, not chasing a quarterback whose presence could create more problems than solutions. The Raiders have cap space, talent around the roster, and young players ready to step up. Bringing in Tua under these conditions would risk undermining all of that. Finally, we come to the worst trade idea of them all, and this one truly deserves the number one spot. The suggestion was Maxx Crosby going to the San Francisco 49ers. I have to say, the idea itself is lazy. There is no full proposal, no detailed analysis, just Maxx Crosby to the 49ers. Crosby is under contract through 2029. He's a cornerstone of our defense, and the thought of sending him away without even crafting a proper deal is baffling. The 49ers certainly have needs on their edge rush, but Crosby is exactly the type of talent that you build a team around, not give away on a whim. This trade idea highlights exactly why some of these internet trade concepts feel disconnected from reality. Maxx Crosby is not just another player. He's a key contributor who affects every game, every snap, and every matchup on the defensive side. Losing him would be devastating, and any fan who values the heart and identity of the Raiders knows that he is untouchable in terms of the team's competitive blueprint. When you look at all these ideas together, it really emphasizes the difference between outside speculation and the actual needs of the team. The Raiders have a young quarterback in Drake May who is proving himself as a potential MVP candidate, a core of talented players across the roster, and an identity that is still being forged on both sides of the ball. Sacrificing key pieces for the sake of flashy moves or perceived short-term gains does nothing to build a sustainable, winning franchise. Every trade suggestion that ignores the context of our roster, the balance of our offense and defense, or the potential future of our draft picks is a step in the wrong direction. The key to making good moves lies in understanding the holistic picture, who the Raiders are today, who they are becoming, and what moves truly strengthen the foundation instead of shaking it apart. It's not just about talent. It's about fit, timing, and strategy, and any outside analyst who ignores these fundamentals is offering little more than noise. Moving forward, we need to consider the broader impact of these trade ideas on the Raiders' team dynamics and the future of our roster. It's not just about individual players or flashy moves. It's about how each decision shapes the trajectory of the franchise. For example, the constant chatter about quarterback acquisitions like Tua Tagovailoa or Anthony Richardson underscores a recurring theme. Too many suggestions focus on chasing the next big name rather than building a sustainable foundation. The Raiders have a young quarterback in Drake May who is showing flashes of brilliance and already making a case as one of the league's most promising talents. He has the arm, the vision, and the poise to grow into an elite signal caller. And yet, some of these trade ideas completely overlook him, treating him as disposable. That's the kind of thinking that can derail a team's progress. It's crucial to remember that stability at quarterback is the bedrock of any successful franchise. Bringing in multiple reclamation projects or quarterbacks with uncertain potential only creates instability. We've seen it before with veteran quarterbacks coming in, and more often than not, the experiment fails. The Raiders need a quarterback who can develop within our system, surrounded by a supportive coaching staff and a solid offensive line. Sacrificing our best defensive linemen, like Jackson Powers-Johnson, or promising talents for a short-term quarterback solution is the opposite of building a championship-caliber team. These trade ideas often ignore the subtleties of roster construction, such as how offensive line stability directly affects the quarterback's performance, the development of young receivers, and the overall rhythm of the offense. Speaking of young talent, it's important to highlight just how valuable some of our players are in ways that might not be immediately obvious to outside analysts. A player like Jakobi Meyers, for example, contributes far more than just stats on the scoreboard. He helps maintain chemistry, provides reliability in critical situations, and mentors younger players. Losing him for a fifth-round pick might seem minor to someone scanning trade headlines, but within the ecosystem of the team, it's a significant loss. Similarly, cornerbacks like Eric Stokes and edge rushers like Maxx Crosby are foundational pieces that affect every defensive snap. They dictate matchups, create pressure, and stabilize the defense in ways that cannot be quantified by simple trade values or draft pick equivalencies. These are the considerations that should drive trade decisions, not clickbait headlines or speculative hype. Now, looking at the Raiders' overall strategy, it's clear that the best moves are ones that complement the current roster while addressing real gaps rather than chasing fame or flashy names. Investing in the offensive line, for example, creates ripple effects that strengthen both the passing and rushing game. Every quarterback benefits from having more time in the pocket, and young receivers can develop without being pressured into making mistakes. Defensive trades should aim to add complementary pieces rather than swapping cornerstone talents. The reality is that the Raiders are still building an identity. The team has promising players, a rising quarterback, and coaches who understand the nuances of the roster. Every trade should align with that trajectory rather than disrupt it. Another important factor is the long-term financial implications of trade ideas. Some proposals, like taking on Tua Tagovailoa's contract in exchange for future draft picks, may look attractive superficially but create enormous cap pressures that limit flexibility. When a team ties up too much money in one player, it can hinder the ability to make strategic acquisitions elsewhere. This is why context matters so much in trade discussions. It's not just about who is being added or removed, but how it impacts the team's capacity to adapt, improve, and sustain success over multiple seasons. Every move has a cascade of consequences, and the best teams are the ones that think several steps ahead. Even when looking at hypothetical trades that involve high-profile players from other teams, it's critical to assess fit, scheme, and timing. A player who thrives in one system may struggle in another, and assuming that any big-name acquisition is automatically a win is a dangerous trap. The Raiders have specific strengths and weaknesses, and any trade should enhance the team's core philosophy rather than contradict it. This includes maintaining balance on both sides of the ball, protecting key young players, and ensuring that additions don't inadvertently create gaps elsewhere. It's a delicate dance that requires insight, strategy, and a deep understanding of the roster. One of the most glaring issues with many of these trade suggestions is that they seem disconnected from reality. Some of the worst proposals ignore positional value, contractual obligations, or the competitive window of the team. For example, suggesting Maxx Crosby be sent to another team without offering a coherent exchange is more of a fantasy exercise than a practical strategy. Similarly, offering up Eric Stokes for a quarterback project demonstrates a lack of understanding of defensive fundamentals. These ideas fail to account for the holistic needs of the team and often result in moves that could weaken the Raiders instead of strengthening them. Fans have every right to be skeptical when trade discussions prioritize spectacle over substance. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Vegas is buzzing with whispers tonight as the Raiders may have just made a seismic shift in their defensive line. Sources close to the team claim that Quinnen Williams, the star defensive tackle whose name has been echoing through NFL circles for years, has officially landed in Las Vegas. While no official announcement has yet been made, the mere presence of Williams at Raiders facilities has sent shockwaves through fans and analysts alike. Insiders suggest that the 26-year-old powerhouse could immediately command the defensive front, bringing both intensity and leadership to a line that has struggled for consistency. Known for his ability to collapse pockets and wreak havoc on quarterbacks, Williams' potential fit with the Raiders seems almost too perfect to be coincidental. Speculation is rife that the team may be positioning itself to transform its defense into one of the most feared in the league. What makes this development even juicier for rumor enthusiasts is the timing. Las Vegas is coming off a season of near misses and defensive struggles, and whispers suggest that management is pulling out all the stops to ensure this doesn't become another year of what-ifs. Could Williams be the missing piece that turns the Raiders into instant contenders? Pundits are already debating how his skill set might mesh with the existing roster, with some suggesting he could single-handedly elevate the defensive line to elite status. Fans have taken to social media, speculating on what a Quinnen-led defensive line could mean for rival offenses. From mock formations to highlight reels, excitement, and a little bit of disbelief is palpable. Even without an official confirmation, the chatter around Las Vegas suggests that the Raiders' defensive future may be about to shift dramatically. For now, it's all hush-hush, but if the rumors hold true, the arrival of Quinnen Williams could mark the beginning of a new era in Raider Nation, a defensive renaissance led by one of the league's most formidable talents. Keep your eyes on Vegas. The desert may soon turn into a fortress. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.